wonders are waiting out there? What new adventures can we see? What are the answers to the never-ending questions in your brain that's in a race to find the reason or the place from deep on Earth to outer space, so that the truth of any case can be unfurled in the real world. Science in the real world.
Hi, I'm Kirsten. Welcome to Real World Science. 3, 2, 1, let's blast off into space to learn all about our solar system. All systems are go, and we're ready for liftoff. Intro to the solar system. When you look up in the sky at night, what might you see? Well, on a clear night when there are no clouds, you might see thousands of stars, the moon, and even far-off planets. Objects that are part of the sky or space are called celestial bodies. People have always been interested in knowing more about celestial bodies. Before recorded history, people noticed that certain objects in the sky moved in orderly and predictable paths. For centuries, people studied the motion of the sun and stars as they passed across the sky, but they couldn't tell much about them. That was until the mid-1600s when Galileo began to study the sky with a new invention called a telescope. We still study space today, only now we use large telescopes from observatories all over the world. In addition, we send spacecrafts far out into space, equipped with all kinds of instruments to help us learn more. In fact, many of the pictures you will see in this program were taken from those spacecrafts. Today, we're going to talk about the group of celestial bodies that includes our own planet Earth. It's called the solar system. The Sun. Our solar system is made up of the Sun, 9 planets, including the Earth, thousands of meteors, comets, and asteroids that all travel around the Sun. Let's begin with the biggest celestial body in our solar system, the Sun. How big is the Sun? If the Sun were the size of a basketball, Earth would be only the size of a very small pea. What makes the Sun such an important part of our solar system is that all 8 planets move around the Sun because of gravity. And the gravity from the Sun keeps everything from flying off into space. Gravity is the phenomenon by which massive bodies, like the Sun and planets, are attracted to one another. Every object in our solar system has and is affected by gravity. This means that every object pulls at every other object. The bigger the object, the more gravity it has, and the harder it pulls at the other objects. So the Sun has the most pull. The first thing to know about the Sun is that it is a star. A star is a huge ball of hot glowing gases. The reason the Sun looks so much bigger and brighter than other stars is that it's the closest star to us. The Sun is 150 million kilometers away from Earth. How far away is that? Well, if we were to travel in a spaceship that could take us to the moon in 2 days, it would take us almost a year to get even close to the Sun. If you could get close to the Sun, you would notice that the Sun looks a lot like a large burning flame. Sometimes, huge tongues of gases shoot out from the Sun's surface. They're called prominences. The hottest part of the Sun is its center, which is called the core. The Sun's core is about 25 million degrees Fahrenheit, or 14 million degrees Celsius. The source of most of the sun's light and heat is called the photosphere. Above the photosphere is the chromosphere, made up of flaming outbursts of gas. The outer atmosphere of the sun is the corona. Energy moves up from the sun's core to the surface, where it rushes out into space as waves of light. It takes about 8 minutes and 20 seconds for the light waves to travel from the sun to the planet Earth. The inner planets. There is only one star in our solar system, but there are 8 planets. The planets can be divided up into 2 groups. The first 4 planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, are called the inner planets. That's because they're closest to the sun. Let's look at each planet one at a time. We'll begin with Mercury, the closest planet to the sun. Mercury. Mercury is very difficult to see from Earth because it is so small and so close to the sun. It can be seen at certain times of the year just before sunrise or just after sunset. But most of the time, it's lost in the glare of the sun. Photographs taken from Earth really didn't tell us much about the planet. Finally, we got to see Mercury up close with the help from cameras on board the Mariner 9 spacecraft. Today, we know Mercury to be a rocky desert covered with billions of round holes called craters. Scientists believe that the craters were formed billions of years ago when the solar system was formed. Spheres that circled the sun were continually bombarded by cosmic debris. This debris is what caused the billions of craters we see today on the surface of the planet Mercury and other planets as well. Like all planets, Mercury orbits around the sun. Mercury orbits the sun once every 88 Earth days. An orbit is the path that an object follows around another object. As it orbits the sun, Mercury also rotates. All planets rotate, which means they're constantly spinning, just like this top. All planets rotate on their own axis. Mercury rotates rather slowly. It takes 59 Earth days for Mercury to rotate just one time. An axis is an imaginary line that runs through the center of a planet. Venus. The second planet in our solar system is Venus. Venus is covered in bright clouds. From Earth, Venus shines more brightly at night than any other object in the sky, except for our moon. There is always a haze around Venus, and because of the haze, scientists didn't know very much about Venus until the Mariner 10 spacecraft traveled to Venus to take pictures. With a special camera, scientists learned that the land is mostly rocky, with some high mountains and very deep valleys. And Venus has no oceans or water of any kind. Using a computer, scientists have been able to map out the surface of Venus to give us a better idea of what it looks like. Venus orbits the sun every 225 Earth days. Venus is the second fastest planet in the solar system. But Venus rotates very slowly on its axis. Venus rotates one time every 243 Earth days. Earth. The third planet in our solar system is our own planet Earth. It's neat to look back at our planet from far off in space. In this picture, taken from one of the Apollo space missions, the Earth appears to be a big blue marble. It takes 365 Earth days, or 1 year, for the Earth to orbit the sun. Like the other planets in the solar system, Earth orbits around the Sun. Earth also rotates on its axis. The Earth rotates once every 24 hours, or 1 day. The Earth's surface is much different than the other planets in the solar system. The surface of the Earth is made up of rock, but on top of the rock there are oceans and dry land. Oceans cover almost 3/4 of the Earth's surface. The closest celestial body to the Earth is our Moon. The Moon orbits the Earth much like the planets orbit the Sun. The Moon is about 1/4 the size of Earth. Because it's so small, its gravity is too weak to hold an atmosphere to protect the Moon from extreme cold or heat. Earth's gravitational pull keeps the Moon from flying off into space. The Moon orbits around the Earth every 27.3 days. The Moon also rotates on its axis too. It takes 27.3 days to complete one rotation. The Moon orbits the Earth in the same time it takes to make one rotation. Because of this, people on Earth can only see one side of the Moon. We never see the backside. If you look up at the Moon with a telescope, you can see dark shadows on its surface. These areas are the flat, dusty, dry plains of the Moon. When astronauts landed, they found the Moon's surface covered with rocks and dust, tall mountains, and millions of craters. The Moon is not a planet. The Moon is a satellite. Earth has one satellite, the Moon. A satellite is any object that revolves around a larger object. The next planet we're going to explore has 2 satellites, Mars. Mars. Mars is the 4th planet from our solar system. Because it's further away from the Sun than the Earth, it takes Mars a little longer to complete its orbit. It takes Mars 687 Earth days to orbit the Sun. In Earth time, it takes Mars 24 hours, 37 minutes, and 23 seconds to rotate one time on its axis. Mars is like Earth in that it has seasons that change from summer to winter, but the air is too thin to breathe. It's believed that Mars had rivers that disappeared a long time ago. And except for the ice caps, Mars is a desert. The planet appears red because the Martian soil is full of iron oxide or rust. Mars has 2 small moons named Phobos and Deimos. Phobos is the larger of the 2 and orbits around Mars in just 7.5 hours. Deimos is smaller, but takes 30 hours to travel around Mars. Asteroid Belt. Mars is the last of the inner planets, and as we leave Mars, we will discover that the next part of the solar system is very different. We will find that the planets are much bigger and more colorful. Some have giant rings circling around them, while others have many, many moons. But before we reach the next planet, we enter the asteroid belt. Asteroids are huge boulders and small chunks of rock, metal, and ice traveling through space. Some asteroids measure almost 600 miles across. That's about the size of Texas. And then there are others that are the size of small pebbles. Comets also travel through space. A comet is a large ball of frozen rock and gas. Comets appear to have tails that trail behind. The tail happens because as a comet gets closer to the Sun, the frozen gas starts to melt. It streams behind in a long tail that glows in the light of the Sun. Some comets visit our solar system on a regular basis. For example, Halley's Comet passes by Earth every 76 years. The last time it appeared was in 1986. the next time you'll get a chance to see it will be 2062. Have you ever seen a falling star? Falling stars aren't stars at all. They're meteoroids. Meteoroids are chunks of rock that have traveled through space and entered Earth's atmosphere. It falls through the atmosphere so fast that the air heats it up and it burns. If we're looking up, we see a flashing streak across the sky. What we call a shooting or falling star is known as a meteor. Most burn up before they reach Earth. Meteors that reach the ground are known as meteorites. Large meteors can leave huge holes in the ground when they hit. This is a picture of a big crater caused by a meteorite that struck Earth. It's in Arizona. Jupiter. Let's resume our journey to the next planet. Just past the asteroid field, we come to the largest planet in our solar system, Jupiter. Jupiter is a very colorful planet. Most of the planet looks like swirls of clouds. However, there is one great red spot that always appears in the exact same place. Many scientists think that the red spot is a large storm. What's most unusual about Jupiter is that it has no ground or surface to walk on. That's because Jupiter is a giant ball of gas. Scientists call planets like Jupiter gas giants. Jupiter rotates very quickly on its axis. It takes in Earth time only 9 hours and 55 minutes. However, Jupiter orbits the Sun every 11.9 years, traveling an incredible 483.3 million miles. Jupiter also has lots of moons. 4 largest are called Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. Saturn. The next planet in our solar system is Saturn. Saturn is known for its beautiful rings that circle the planet. The rings look solid, but they're really not. The rings are made up of thousands of pieces of ice and rock that circle Saturn like little moons. Like Jupiter, Saturn is a gas giant. And Saturn spins quickly too. Saturn rotates on its axis every 10 hours and 14 minutes. It takes 30 Earth years for Saturn to orbit the Sun. Saturn also has lots of moons. Saturn's largest moon is named Titan. It's between the size of the planets Mercury and Mars. Titan is different than all the other moons that we know about. You see, Titan has its own air or atmosphere, though it's not the same as Earth's atmosphere. Uranus. The next planet in our solar system, 7th away from the Sun, is Uranus. Uranus, like Jupiter and Saturn, is a giant gas planet, and it has rings too, made of dark dust. However, the most unusual thing about this greenish-blue planet is the way it rotates. You see, most planets spin like this. But Uranus rotates on its axis like this. So it looks like a giant ball rolling around the Sun. It takes Uranus 84 Earth years to orbit the Sun. Neptune. The next planet in our solar system is named Neptune. Neptune is the last gas giant planet in our solar system, and its color is pale blue. Neptune turns on its axis once every 16 to 18 hours. And it takes Neptune 164 Earth years to orbit the Sun. Neptune has rings too. Well, there you have it, our solar system. We looked at the sun and all 8 planets, their moons, asteroids, comets, and meteors. There certainly is a lot to learn, but there's even more we don't know about the solar system. That's why scientists continue to study it. Astronomers are scientists who study objects in space. Astronomers have many questions about the solar system, and they're constantly searching for answers. Maybe someday you'll be an astronomer and gaze at the sky using a large telescope. Or you could blast off for the stars and get a better view of the solar system. Scientists hope that by studying the solar system, we can learn more about the planets, stars, the universe, and our world.